Hey, what's up? Get your coffee. That's right. Hey, Natasha. Welcome to the show. I got something really fun to talk about today. So, I guess let's just get into it, shall we? We got one or two people here. Oh, yeah, so let's just get into it. Uh, Something, and I don't know why I still look red with this camera. I put it on low light, but I still look red. We'll see if we can get that fixed. Anyway, something is off in the way we see each other now. Spend enough time online, and the other side stops looking like people. They start looking like a single dangerous thing. Loud, extreme, always angry. It doesn't feel exaggerated, it actually feels accurate. Because you're not seeing everyday reality. You're seeing the worst clips, the angriest moments over and over until your brain decides, yeah, that's who they really are. No lies, no secret plot, just a system that rewards outrage so the fringe feels normal. Compromise feels weak, and disagreement turns into a moral emergency. This distortion has a name: enemy inflation. The more terrifying the enemy looks, the easier it is to stop thinking and the harder it is to see who benefits. My name's Tom Coffey. This is a Coffee Nuance show, the best damn show that you're watching right now. Flame on. Hey, so here we are. Now, I don't think I look as orange as I am in this monitor. Where's my mouse? Where is my mind? I got the mouse here. Why is it not on my screen? There we go. There's the mouse. Now there's the mouse. Now I can get into it. We're talking about enemy inflation here. And that is the sixth slide. It should not be there. We should have slide number 1. Here we go. And I want you to think about this. This starts as a distortion, right? This is a disorientation, and it's not an ideology, okay? Like, it doesn't feel like a disagreement anymore, what's happening. It feels like the country just stopped making sense. And people don't even seem wrong anymore. They just seem totally unrecognizable from years ago. So, and to be clear, I'm not blaming the media yet, okay? So, but the question to ask is, why are people crazy? Why does it feel this way right now? So that's when we get into the illusion here. Your feed is a highlight reel, and it's not an accurate sample of what's going on. Oh, I should look here. There we go. Yeah. This isn't what most people think. It's just what travels best, right? The loudest clips beat calm, cool, collected, nuance every single time, right? Anger scales. Normalcy doesn't, right? So that's what to keep in mind here. You know, after enough repetition, something quiet happens in your head, right? You just start thinking, this is how they all are. They're really like this. You know, we're reminded of that, what's happening in Minnesota now, and I'm hearing people say the absolute worst things imaginable. And I think that these people are actually real nice people in real life, and they're just saying just terrible things. But this is all a mental shortcut, okay? Repetition becomes reality. Your brain isn't trying to be smart. It's not trying to be wise. It's trying to be fast. Right? We're lazy. Our brains are lazy. We just want to quickly make the connections and be done with it. Frequency just replaces all context whatsoever. And if you keep seeing it, well, it's got to be common, right? I just keep seeing this thing in my feed, so that must represent everyone. So here's the thing, right? This happens to everybody. It happens to smart people. Happens to you. Happens to me. This has nothing to do with intelligence, right? We all do this. We're kind of wired that way. And knowing about it just doesn't stop it from happening either. Right? That's the scary thing. Because once you attach emotion to something, right? When you see these things happening with ice and whatnot, when emotion gets involved, it just kind of locks in. Okay? So that's what we've got here. Once fear enters, thinking exits. Fear just totally shuts down all curiosity. So you stop asking, hey, is this true? And you start asking, is this dangerous? Right? And so this is a behavior, and this is not an ideology, okay? What's happening here is you're gaining moral certainty because you're seeing the same things repeated, and so that makes it much easier for yourself to come to this moral conclusion about whatever it is. And you kind of have zero tolerance for nuance, right? That's just thrown out the window. People don't radicalize through logic. Have you noticed that, right? They radicalize through a threat, you know? Once that happens, judgment just starts to fail everywhere. And we see it all the time. So enemy inflation, that's the term I've come up with for this Big Idea Wednesday, makes you fight the wrong thing. Okay, you end up fighting slogans instead of incentives, right? You argue with caricatures instead of systems. The noisiest enemy gets all the attention, not the most powerful one, right? That's the irony here. So while everyone is reacting loudly, real power moves quietly. And that's what brings us to the real danger. This is a perception problem. It's not a moral problem. This doesn't mean that the other side is harmless. It doesn't mean that the other side are not jerks. It doesn't mean that there are not some evil people in the world. It just means that your picture of them is distorted. And if you had a distorted map, right, you're lost. So in this case, if your enemy is a total distortion of who the other side is, you're not really seeing them for who they are. So the more terrifying the enemy looks, the easier it is to stop thinking, and the harder it is to see who benefits. Enemy inflation doesn't change what you believe. It changes what you think you're up against. And so what I would like to take away from this is to become aware of this, to become a little bit less reactive to things that we see, a little more observant, and don't be angry, right? Just kind of calibrate your thoughts. That's what I'm thinking today with enemy inflation. Anyway, we've got a great show today. Stick around. I will go through all your comments in the after show, but let's get to the news today, shall we? What's that? Oh, son of a gun. Son of a gun. What happened here? Let's try it one more time. Okay. Got the mouse. There we go. And put the Chiron on and the OTS off. And here we are. Here we are. You know, Rachel Warnock, right? Senator. This is going to be a little nuts here. A little crazy. Let me switch this up. There we go. Zoom in. You know what? I could just put my glasses on. There we go. Yeah, so Senator Rachel Warnock criticized Trump on MS Now. Are you used to saying MS Now, MSNBC? Claiming he's unleashed evil on our streets. Well, again, even by me highlighting this story, when it comes to enemy inflation, not only is Senator Warnock inflating Trump, right? Even by me talking about this story, you might be thinking that all Democrat senators are this unhinged, right? And that's just not the truth. But on the show, All In, claims that Trump has unleashed evil on our streets. Oh my goodness. Are you scared yet? So these remarks come amid rising concerns over crime rates, societal unrest, and blaming Trump, saying Trump is the catalyst for violence and division. Yeah, that's it. Beat somebody up and blame them for getting beat up, right? Blame the victim, right? Anyway, this is just, again, reignited the daily debate over Trump's impact on public safety and community well-being. Are these claims true? This is one of those things where maybe something is 5% true, and you act like it's 95% true, right? You know, what are the ramifications for this kind of rhetoric? Well, probably Senator Warnock will get some donations today to her campaign, right? That's probably going to happen. Probably going to scare a lot of people. A lot of NPR listeners are going to be a little bit more scared. But I don't know. I don't see what kind of evil has been unleashed. But, you know, maybe that's just my bubble. I don't know. I think if Trump really wanted to be evil, and I don't think he's evil, but I mean, if he was really going to do something evil, you'd probably know, you know. You wouldn't have to make it up. And I think that this kind of rhetoric is just polarizing everybody even further. That looks like that's going to be the Democratic playbook for this upcoming election. And it's probably going to be part of Trump's Trump's legacy, whether he wants it or not. But anyway, no buffer music. Let me try the grid and see if we've got any music on this one. Tom, video and audio not synced, but you're not as red. Well, again, let me do this. And then afterwards, I can play it back and I can find out exactly what went wrong. But thank you for the feedback. We'll go through all of that. But let's see if we've got any audio on this, taking us to the next story. I didn't even look. Oh well. This is crazy. EU's deadly new weapon against press freedom is already wreaking havoc. We've seen a lot of these freedom of speech stories in Europe, and man, it is not good being a journalist over there. Hüseyin Doğru, I've said that, nothing close to what it is. A German-Turkish journalist faces EU sanctions that have frozen his assets and severely restricted his ability to support his family, raising alarms about press freedom in Europe. The EU's justification for these sanctions hinged on alleged connections to Russia. Oh, we've heard that before. Because he did some pro-Palestinian reporting. So obviously that means he's got ties to Russia, right? And do you know how much evidence the EU presented in this case? Oh, that's right, none. Because, why would they present any evidence? This is a dangerous precedent for suppression of, dissident voices, freedom of expression. And it's impacting all journalists. But how about that? You're a journalist, you report on something, they don't like what you report, and now they take your bank account. And you can't, oh man, that is not at all moving things in the right direction. But Germany's been going in the wrong direction a long time. You got to love the lack of evidence, though. And we see that here in the U.S., too. There's all kinds of claims made with pretty much no evidence. Yeah, the EU claims to value freedom of speech. Clearly, they meant freedom of speech as long as we like it. That's the freedom of speech that they approve of. If they like your speech, you've got the freedom of speech, which is kind of the opposite of what freedom of speech is. I always thought the EU was about unity, right? You just think of that with that. But apparently what they mean is they're unified against anyone dissenting. So that's what's happening. Scary stuff over there. And yeah. Anyway, let's get to the next story here. You know what? Let's go to the next. I didn't like that story, so let's just skip that. Let's just skip that one and get on to some nonsense stories. Man, chat is alive. Chat is alive. More No Kings protests are planned for this spring. Oh, joy. Oh, joy. So following the fatal shooting of 2 U.S. citizens by the feds, organizers of the No Kings protests are gearing up for another round of demonstrations this spring with a major event set for March 28th. We got to wait till the weather gets a tad bit better in Minnesota. The protests continue to draw attention to issues. And I think I'm going to, now that I know that this is coming, I can do a deep dive on No Kings, who's funding No Kings, and what strategies are the No Kings protests. They're very closely aligned with some strategies that our State Department, our CIA, all its cutouts, USAID, etc., have used all around the planet, all around the globe, for regime change. And shockingly, it's the exact same playbook that the No Kings rallies use. And so maybe that's something that I can kind of do a deep dive in and share that with you. Because I know it sounds like a crazy claim. But it's not, and so hopefully I'll do something about that very, very soon. Let's see. Tip music worked, not too loud. Okay, good. Good. I don't want the music to overpower anything. Don't want that to happen. Anyway, next story. What do we got? Let's just go right into it. Uh-oh. What's this? NRA pushes back on Trump. Patel saying people who attend protests shouldn't have guns. Well, it's kind of what you would expect from the NRA, right? The NRA is supposed to stand up for gun rights. That's just how it is. So what happened to my mouse? So the NRA is publicly countering statements by Trump and FBI Director Kash Patel, asserting that lawful citizens should be allowed to carry firearms at protests. And, the NRA has a firm stance on this. Trump, on the other hand, his comments show a shift in Republican rhetoric about firearms at protests. So what do you think this rift is going to mean for the future of the NRA and its own political influence? The NRA says everyone should carry at protests. And I say great, because nothing says a peaceful demonstration like a marching band with AR-15s, right? What the city needs to do is just make the protest a no-gun zone, right? And then that'll stop it. I think, though, if we can be a little nuanced about this, if we can just be a little bit more, less stupid. If you have a gun at a protest, things can happen, right? That's the thing, is things can happen. If you're there for a peaceful protest, I think anyone, if a group wants to have a demonstration and all be armed, they can do that. They can do that. I think generally speaking, if you're having a quote-unquote peaceful protest, you should probably encourage people not to show up with guns, because one of the things that happens is, I think, like what happened here in Minnesota, I know this happened a couple years ago. Someone in Portland was shot. It wasn't at a protest, but a guy had a legally right to carry. There was a fight at like 2:30 in the morning, and everybody was drunk, and he was trying to hold somebody back. He's one of those guys like jumping into the fray, and his gun went flying, across the sidewalk, and a cop was there. The cops were there trying to stop the fight, and so he ran over and grabbed his gun and picked it up, and the cops didn't know what was going on. They're like, "Hey, don't drop the gun!" And he turned around, he's holding the gun, and they shot him. Terrible accident. Terrible. I don't think the guy was thinking. You drop your gun, you run over, you grab your gun, you pick it up. Well, guess what? You could get shot by doing that. And so the more pragmatic thing is maybe not bring your gun to a peaceful protest. But I'm not coming down really on any side of this. I think that Trump and Kash Patel were just being more practical, right? You don't need guns at protests. And when you bring them, it just kind of escalates everything. Now, anybody calling for that, it sounds to me like they want things to escalate. And I don't. I want to see everyone's safe. So, let's see. I'm getting errors on my screen here. Oh, well. What are you going to do? All right, let's, next story. Get to the next story. What do we got? And I talked about this the other day. Oh, you can't see the full headline. I'll sort that out. I'll work that out. I'll figure out how to make it so you can actually see the article on the screen. We're making slow progress on this show. We'll get better every day. But I just talked about this week. Trump again is saying Cuba will soon collapse. Trump asserts that Cuban government is on the brink of collapse, and he referenced Venezuela again. And this is again reignited discussions about U.S.-Cuba relations and the broader implications for all of Latin America. And it's pretty amazing because I have been hearing from politicians my entire life that the United States, wants regime change in Cuba, and hasn't happened. And it hasn't happened yet. And so I think the best prediction for the future is the past, right? And so I've heard for 50 years that this is going to happen. I'll believe it when I see it. But here's a little trick that I have learned. If you hear people repeating something over and over again, okay, so if you've got someone in your friend group and they keep bringing something up, right? What that means is it is important to them. So if Trump keeps bringing up that Cuba will collapse, that's a signal that it's important to Trump, right? So it's not just a one-time thing that he said this. He keeps repeating this. And so that's the signal that it's important to him. And you can even test me on this. Test people in your own life. If they keep bringing something up, don't tell them, yeah, you talked about that yesterday. Oh, yeah, you talked about that last week. Oh, yeah. Don't do that. They're sharing with you that subject is important to them. Okay? And so you can even bring that up, and it's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you've brought this up a lot. It sounds like this is a really important thing to you, Be supportive of them. And so that's what I got from this story. Anyway, what else we got today? Oh, you knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. Amazon is set to lay off 16,000 employees as part of its strategy to enhance its artificial intelligence capabilities. And this significant workplace reduction reflects a broader trend in tech, where companies are increasingly integrating AI to optimize operations. If only I could have AI be my producer for this show. That's what I would need. How do I do that? Right? But Amazon's Senior Vice President Beth Galetti emphasized their commitment to supporting affected employees during this transition. I tell you, a lot of people have been transitioned out of work. So many people I know here in Portland have lost their jobs. And it's hard replacing them. A lot of them have not got a new job. And so I really feel for the 16,000 Amazon employees that were laid off. Good luck finding something new. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think over this year, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. I really believe that. I don't want that to happen. But that is kind of what I see going. Oh yeah, here's the joke. Here's the joke. Ready for the joke? Because jokes are always funnier when they're prefaced by, are you ready for the joke? Amazon just made 16,000 employees prime candidates for unemployment. Yeah. Yeah, so if you got a job and you like your job, remember, one of the most important parts of your job is not what you actually do, right? Your job is finding your next job, and you can start on that right now. Okay, start on that right now. That's a little advice. Oh no, we got some more doom here. This is Senator Lindsey Graham. To protesters in Iran, help will be on the way. This is not a good sign. Not a good sign, ladies and gentlemen. Senator Lindsey Graham expressed U.S. support for Iranian protesters, stating, "Help will be on the way," in an interview with Fox News. His comments aligned with Trump. Lindsey Graham, one of the biggest war hawks in the Senate. And, of course, this is all done under the guise of protesters over there. Now, probably we'll find out that all the organizations leading the protests in Iran are partnered with agencies, shall we say, but whatever, it is what it is. But what exactly, Lindsay, do you mean by help in this context? What do you mean by help? Because that's a bit ambiguous. Is help assassinations? Is help drone strikes? What do we mean by help? I just know that anytime I hear Lindsey Graham gleefully talking about war, bad things are to come. That's just the pattern that I've seen. So, yeah, let's find out what is happening. We'll probably find out within 2 weeks. Bluey. Bluey. Do you know Bluey? In 2025, Bluey dominated streaming in the U.S. with an astonishing 45 billion minutes watched. I don't know why they did minutes with that. Why not hours or whatever? Securing its position as the most streamed title for the second consecutive year, this animated children's series has outperformed all adult series and films, reflecting on a significant cultural phenomenon that resonates with families across the nation. So this is Bluey here. I guess he's blue, right? Never seen it myself. But, you know, one thing it has here, it only has 154 episodes on Disney Plus, most of which are less than 10 minutes long. So Grey's Anatomy was the runner-up. How many seasons of Grey's Anatomy are there? It says Grey's Anatomy has 455 episodes. I feel like Grey's Anatomy is older than, you know, all of Gen Z, right? Crazy. Anyway, just a little entertainment news. And lastly, we got to get to the good news. All right. Here we are. The FDA has approved a groundbreaking study by Life Biosciences that aims to reverse aging at the cellular level. And again, I had this article pulled up, and now they want me to sign up for a free account. I didn't need a free account 15 minutes ago. I guess if you leave it open for so long, then they hit you with this nonsense. Anyway, but you don't have to read the article because I did. Anyway, this is using gene therapy inspired by research from Harvard's David Sinclair. This approach focuses on restoring youthful characteristics to cells in patients suffering from vision loss, potentially marking a significant leap forward in longevity science. So what does this mean for the future of aging research? I think the whole thing is exciting. You know, I always thought aging was a choice. Guess I was wrong. It's just a gene therapy now, right? And if this works, does that mean that we will get new birth certificates? No. But I think this is real exciting, you know, if you're dealing with aging. Bringing on some Fountain of Youth stuff is great. Imagine what the world will look like 25 years from now when they say that aging is optional. Although, to be skeptical on this, I've kind of heard about all these advances that they're making in aging, and most of them don't seem to pan out. But I just wanted to leave you with a little good news. I think it's some good news, some optimistic news that could kind of rewrite the human lifespan. So yay for that. Anyway, stick around for the after show. I'll go through all of your comments, and I think I might even have them on screen. But thanks for joining me today, talking about this big idea. It was important to me because I see it so often, this idea of enemy inflation. And so I want you to think about that throughout your day. When you think about someone that doesn't agree with you, when you see something on the news or in social media, just think, am I getting an accurate reflection, or is this inflated, right? Is this enemy inflation? Anyway, see you in the after show, and I will be back on Friday with another show live. Until then, peace. Okay, here we are. And look at this. I even have the... well, maybe I could do this. Maybe, how about there, how about that? There we go. Look at all these great comments. Natasha, get your coffee. No buffer music anymore. I will go back and review the show afterwards, and then find out, what works, what doesn't work. Oh, how about this? Anytime there's a new... Oh, this is fun. Now you guys can really mess with me. It will move. It will move this anytime there's a new comment. Oh, that's funny. Flame on. Good morning, everyone. Hit the like button. Nice. What's up, Big Daddy? Nat the Cat Williams. Yes, power is talented at distracted, misdirection, and obscuring. Very, very true. Think we're being distracted from the Charlie Kirk assassination. Erica's ties to the CIA and Mossad. What do you think we're being distracted from? Well, I'm not making any claims on anything, and that's one of the things, right? You don't know what you don't know, right? Just something to be aware of. We expect that signature boner ditty, Tom. That was the name of that's the name of this. That's that music there. I'll work on the volume levels and whatnot. Again, I just don't want the music too loud. And I think I just want some quicker transitions. I don't think they need to be 6 seconds. I think 2 or 3 is enough. But when I do the transition, what I'm doing is I'm doing that and then just getting my next story ready. That's the purpose of it. Let's see. Guns are for insurrections. Yeah. Proper insurrections. Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a country that's ever been overthrown without guns, right? Paperwork has never really overthrown a country. I don't see that. Big Daddy says, if I went to one of those, I'd be carrying. These protests tend to turn bad, but not because of a peaceful person in the crowd that happens to be carrying. Yeah, no, I agree. What I'm saying, though, is sometimes things happen, especially people that... are not good with their guns. I say if you're going to carry. I don't have a problem with it. Concealed carry. Conceal it, right? One of the issues, I've seen this a couple times, that there's a scuffle and then the gun goes shooting down the sidewalk. So, someone grabs a gun, someone pulls it on you. And so keep that gun concealed and have the gun in such a way that it's not going to fall out during a scuffle, because those are the incidents that we see where things go bad. Big Daddy says, I knew a guy who went to college to code. I think he mows lawns now. He worked at a Finger Hut phone center before that. Mowing lawns, it might be well paying. I don't know. Yeah, Reagan did said the most feared phrase, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. That was a good line. The grandkids watch Bluey. Okay. So this is a show for, I guess, infants or preschool. Speaking of blue things and health, anyone here try methylene blue? I have methylene blue. I have. And I will do a dropper full. I don't know. I don't think I have enough information to know if it's doing, all the things that it claims to do. But try it out. I know some people really believe in it, so there's that. Okay, boners is not loud enough. Okay, I'll work on that. Anyway, thanks everyone for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you more than you realize. I'll be back on Friday. I'll rewatch this show and I'll figure out how to make things a little bit better. See if we can get everything synced up nice. Judah says we should all go back to carrying swords. Yeah, I think swords would be a little safer. Also, if you saw somebody walking down the street with a sword, you might cross the street. But yes, long swords. I'm not talking about short, like machetes or anything. I want, big long swords. How long have you been doing methylene blue, Tom? Have you noticed any change at all? I have not done it in a while. I did it a while back, a couple months ago. I tried it for a couple weeks. I didn't really notice any difference, but you know what? Now that you've brought it up, I will try it again, and I will try it today, and I'll just say I'll try it for the next month, and I'll see how that works. I'll just see how that works. So, yeah. Anyway, get your sword, go to your peaceful protests, and I will see you on Friday. Have a good one. Peace.